Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Lee. I'm just here on behalf of Projecta. We've come through to have a chat with you all about some of the new systems coming up that we've designed in conjunction with Jayco. Obviously, we're trying to make sure that people know what is coming, know what it's going to do, and they're making the right decisions as far as what electrical systems they want to use and why they should be using them. So a little bit about us. Our Projecta was started back in 1989 as an Australian business. Since then, we've now moved on to a 14,000 square metre facility at Knoxfield, and with the addition of Caravan Electrical Solutions into that, we've now got a 4,000 square metre manufacturing plant in Somerton as well. That does harnesses and looms. It also allows us to be as close to all of the manufacturers as possible, having sites on both sides of Melbourne. Now, we do pretty much all of our own testing. We've got state-of-the-art facilities there where every system that comes in is put through lab tests. After the lab tests are completed, then they go out to a handful of people like myself who go and put them into their cars and take them away for the weekend and try to put them through their paces. So try and test them in the same ways that people will actually be using them in their vans. Now, of course, we're part of Brown & Watson International. That includes brands like Nava, Big Red, Vision X, pretty large corporation. And as far as the greater part of it, there almost isn't anything on a caravan or a trailer or a car that you can't get through us in some way. So what we've got here today, the two base systems, the PM535J and the 635J. There's a few little enhancements that are made over the previous versions, simplified them quite a fair bit. We've got a little video done by Benny. He does pretty much all of our videos, but I'll let him run through the basics of it, and then I'll go into a little bit more detail on some of those things.
Power up your adventures with Projecta's new PM535J and PM635J systems, designed for superior power management and performance in your Jayco caravan. With a new sleek design, the PM535J power management unit has been updated to incorporate all the features that you have come to expect. This means 35 amp AC charging, 35 amp power supply, and factory inbuilt 30 amp MPPT solar regulator. And there's now the added benefit of a built-in 30 amp DC to DC charger, which means no matter what vehicle is attached, all house batteries will be charged quickly and reliably. The PM535J offers the same features of previous models. 14 output circuits with 2 switchable circuits for water pump and hot water service. It adds factory fitment of a 4-inch colour touch display or the new optional 7-inch colour touch display. Each new display includes an additional 3 switching circuits for lighting, for a total of 5 switching circuits. The displays clearly show daily and monthly statistical data for AC charge, solar charge, DC-DC charge, and DC load output, so usage and charge can be easily monitored. This means that off-grid travellers can enjoy greater confidence in their Jayco caravan than ever before. Utilising the same stylish design as the PM535J, the new PM635J is the flagship model of the PM range, with further improvements over previous models, incorporating 60 amp AC charging, 60 amp AC power supply, 45 amp MPPT solar regulator, and a 45 amp DC to DC charger. It's the perfect option for those who want to live off-grid for longer. Featuring the same 4-inch or 7-inch colour touchscreen display options and outputs as the PM535J, the additional charge capabilities mean faster charging times on larger battery banks. You can power your holiday without limits thanks to the reliable performance of the PM635J system. Additional key features, which can be optioned on both the PM535J and PM635J system, include trusted favourites like tyre pressure monitoring system, caravan levelling system, an additional MPPT solar regulator to truly step up your off-grid game, dedicated Projecta heavy-duty batteries that communicate directly with the display, removing the need for an external shunt. Projecta's 2000 watt 120 amp or 3000 watt 180 amp inverter chargers, which are also both controlled by the 4-inch or 7-inch displays, and a high current shunt for when inverter systems are added, which is not required when using Projecta's LB HD batteries. All these options mean that wherever you go, from the comfort of caravan parks to remote off-grid escapes, Projecta has the right power management systems to keep your Jayco caravan adventure ready.
All right, so as you're seeing, the whole new systems, instead of being a larger square piece, we've brought them down, made them nice and flat. That way they fit in the cupboards, leave you as much space in for storage for your own things, instead of having to take everything up with the electrical equipment. One of the little key features that I like on there that Benny doesn't mention is you can just see up on the top right-hand side, on that little panel there, there's a little rectangular piece. Now underneath that is where all your fuses are. So they're all light up fuses. So if a fuse blows, it glows red and you can see that through that panel. So it's no longer a matter of sitting there and pulling everything off and going, is it that one? Is it that one? Is it that one? You can look underneath, see straight away, yes, there's a fuse blown, pull it straight out and swap it, and hopefully everything's all running then. So the system as a whole, so the 535, obviously you've got the 35 amp AC charge with 35 amp power supply. That just means that if you're hooked up to mains power, the system is running off of mains power, not running off of your batteries. So you're not continually cycling the batteries and keeping them at a high state of charge. The factory integrated 30 amp MPPT regulator, that's enough to give you, give or take, around 150 to 180 amp hours a day if you're running continuously. And you do have the option there of another solar regulator you can plug straight in, just connect straight up with the data cable, so you don't have the issue that you do when you put two solar regulators in normally, where they fight each other. They can't understand where the higher voltage is coming from. They think the battery is at a higher state of charge than what it is. They don't realise something else is putting power in. So that allows them to all see each other. Same with the DC to DC charger. You do have the DC to DC charger in there already, and that's working in conjunction with the solar that's there. So 14 outputs in total, and of course the two dedicated switching circuits that will allow you to turn the water pumps and the hot water service on from anywhere in the van. Now you also have on the 4 and 7 inch screens, they connect up to an app, and unlike the previous models, it is one app for all of them, so you don't have to sit there wondering if you've got the right one and making sure that you've actually connected up properly. And with both of them, all the updates are done over the air. So any improvements that are made to the system, any improved charge algorithms, any advances or added features that come on, as soon as you hook your phone up to it, it just comes up and says, there's new firmware, would you like to install it? You go, yes. It comes up and it shows you what the firmware is, and you just hit the little yellow button on there, loads a new firmware on for you. So pretty straightforward. You really don't have to do anything out of the ordinary. It's not like trying to update the BIOS on a computer or anything, where even professionals have trouble with them sometimes. There we go, and I've already gone over all of the 4 and the 7 inch screens there. So obviously one of the great things with them, where you've got your solar DC to DC loads and AC levels, when you touch on those, it brings up that full history of what you've been using, what power's come in, what power's gone out. So that way you're out in the middle of nowhere, you can go and have a look and see, okay, well, I've used 80 amp hours, 85 amp hours in the last day with the fridge running. And then on solar, because it's been a bit cloudy and whatnot, I've only got 60 amp hours in. So in a couple of days, I'm going to be hurting for power. So it allows you to manage that a little bit better. And now the 635J, more or less the same system, just had a bit of a workout. So the 45 amp DC to DC charger, 45 amp solar regulator, and of course the 60 amp AC charger. So that way you'll be able to get charged up a little bit faster. 60 amp can make a bit of heat, so sometimes your fans will be running high. You've got a night mode option there, so if you have hooked up late and the system's really pushing hard to recharge a large battery bank, you can put night mode on. That quietens all the fans down, turns the screens completely off, so then you don't have those backlight glows coming through on the van. I've been in caravans for quite a while, and I've seen a lot of people that run around putting electrical tape and duct tape and things over all the status lights and the clocks and everything in their vans, because half of them are still lit up to the point you can almost read at night from them. All right, so and there's the solar alternator outputs underneath the battery level indicator. The battery level indicator also changes colours as you're going through your battery states, so that way you've got a nice quick visual representation. Water tanks do the same. So fresh water tanks, you can adjust so that they're nice blue colour when they're up top. They start coming down, they go to an orange, and then they go to a red whenever whether you've set to 25 or 50% or whatnot, with your waste tank going the opposite direction, turning red when it's full. All right, and of course, the accessories you can add in at pretty much any time. So tyre pressure monitoring system, they're already pre-programmed, they're already preset, they're marked on each unit. You just plug them onto the tyre, plug the tyre pressure monitoring system into the unit itself, right? Just goes through on a little Cat6 data cable, and that jumps in straight away, comes up on the screen, and you can pull that up on your phone as well. Same with the levelling system. That way, while you're actually pulling everything back in, you're backing in, you're trying to get everything all right with the car, you can pull your phone up. You should be able to connect up and see where the van is and how level it is while you're still in the car. And obviously the big one there, the inverter charger combos. If you do find that 30 or the 45 or the 60 amp charge is not enough, you can install a larger AC charger, which is also a 2 kilowatt inverter with 120 amp AC charge, or 180 amp inverter with 180 amp AC charge on 3 kilowatt inverter. So once again, that all connects up with the data cables, and so every part of the system knows what every other part of the system is doing at all times. So obviously that allows you to keep a better eye on everything and maximise your power usage over that time frame. Now, the next one, which is one that a lot of people are pretty excited about, I'm really excited about, the introduction of our 48 volt system. So it's a 48 volt system with inverter charger in one, DC to DC charging, solar, everything is in a couple of nice compact units. They are incredibly small and incredibly light. We've got another video here from Benny for you to have a watch, and then I'll go over some of the details of it again.
Power management in your Jayco has never been easier or more powerful with the new to market Projecta 48 volt 4000 watt inverter charger system. This 48 volt powerhouse breaks free from traditional 12 volt limitations. With a reduced footprint and weight compared to the Jayco Off-Grid X systems, this high-power workhorse contains a powerful 4,000 watt inverter charger capable of 8,000 watts of surge, a built-in 30 amp DC to DC charger, built-in 30 amp MPPT solar controller, and a built-in 75 amp AC charger. Did I hear someone out there say that 30 amps is not that much? Well, in this 48 volt system, that's the equivalent of 120 amps charge in a 12 volt system. Admit it, now you're impressed. And while we're covering impressive numbers, an all-new 18-channel output module replaces the busy board of the Off-Grid X system. This module incorporates 8 dimmable circuits for mood lighting, 8 switchable circuits for normal loads, plus 2 high output circuits to do the heavy lifting. Stay in control of your battery power with the added feature of tracking consumption on each output, displayed in both wattage and 12 volt current. This new system mirrors the Off-Grid X with a 7-inch colour touch display and Bluetooth connectivity, keeping things simple and efficient while delivering all the things you rely on, including caravan levelling, tyre pressure monitoring, gas level monitoring, and an array of statistical data, all at a touch of a finger. So how does it all stay powered? The 48 volt, 105 amp hour LifePo 4 lithium chassis mount battery is ready for the task at hand. While 105 amp hours may sound limited, don't forget that's the equivalent of 420 amp hours in a 12 volt system and can be expanded for larger capacity needs. Engineered to exceed all standards and compliance, you can trust that you're safe and secure with overvoltage, undervoltage, overcurrent, short circuit and high-low temperature protections. For travellers who refuse to compromise on comfort, the new Projecta 48 volt 4000 watt inverter charger system lets you live life to the fullest in your Jayco, whether you're on or off-grid.
Right, so obviously with the point that everyone's getting to with their 12 volt systems, it's not uncommon at all to have 800 or 1200 amp hours of battery, 1000, 1200 watts of solar. It's about as far as you can sort of push your 12 volt systems at the moment. The cable size that you need to actually run a lot of those systems, we're talking 120 mil square cable, which is about yay thick. It's quite heavy, it's quite expensive. 48 volt systems, you've got a quarter of the current running. So that means the cable can be basically a quarter of the size. The whole system is lighter, smaller, generates less heat. Now one second. All right, so essentially a lot of our older system, which is in the Jaycos at the moment, it's a fairly large system. It takes up the vast majority of the underside of the bed. This new system, it actually doesn't really do it. It doesn't really do it justice. Really doesn't do it justice. Or have I knocked the batteries? Oh, there we go. All right, we're on again. So, I should learn to hold things better. Benny's little photo there does not do it justice at all. In person, it looks a lot smaller than what it does there. The battery is fantastic, small, lightweight, and it's chassis mounted. That means you don't have to worry about whether or not the enclosure is sealed well enough, is ventilated well enough, whether it has sufficient cooling. Everything's outside, straight onto the chassis. You can run 2 or 3 of them together. You can hook up a couple of them together, and that way you can literally run for days without any concern with power. So the inverter, 4 kilowatts inverter, which will run continuously at 4 kilowatt. It'll do a surge of 8 kilowatt for things like air cons or washing machines or anything with a motor that needs a big startup current. It'll cover all of those without a problem. And as Benny mentioned, your 30 amp DC to DC charger, it is straight 12 volt from your car, right? And it then converts it to the 48 volt inside the system. When your car starts dropping down, if you've got sufficient solar, it's going to send power back to your car as well and keep your car battery topped up. Right? Your solar, again, depending on the solar setup, you've got around 12 to 1500 watts of solar that you can have on there as well without any other changes. And the AC charger at 75 amps on 48 volt, that's basically a 300 amp charger. So if you more or less turns it into an EV hot charger. So all the extra circuits, they're all in there on there individually. You've got the dimmable circuits. You can choose whether they're dimmable or not, but the best part about all of those there is it does show you the individual power from each circuit. So as you're turning on each bank of lights, or you've got your fridge running, or you've got a heater running, you can see how much power each and every single device is using. So every circuit comes up individually, and then you have your total of what's coming out of the batteries. So doing that allows you to really manage what you're doing, because a lot of people love jumping in. The strip lights Jayco put in look fantastic, but they do use a lot more power than some of the smaller lights. This allows you to actually see all of that power usage and really manage it better for yourself. Now, it comes with that same 7-inch screen, right? The obviously looks very similar. There's a few little differences on the back end and the controls, but very, very similar. Still got that phone connection too, so that you can hook everything up through your phone, turn everything off as you're going to bed. That way you don't have to worry about getting up and running all out to the bed, especially if it's a cold night. And of course, again, you've got that same, the levelling systems, your tyre pressure systems, the gas level sensors. You just pop that on the bottom of your gas bottle. Ultrasonic sensor in it, reads how much power is in the bottom of the gas bottle. And when I first saw them, my first thought was, that's going to fall off the first time you go over a rough road. So I sat there with a old gas bottle and sat there doing the bottle flips with them, trying to get it to fall off. I didn't get it to fall off once. So I was pretty happy with that. The only real problem with them, you have to make sure you remember to take them off before you hit the swap and go. Right? Don't forget that. But they just literally clip on the bottom, tell it it's a 9 kilo bottle or a 4.5 kilo bottle, and away you go. And of course, you've still got all of that historical data that goes back about a year. You've got all that history of what the system's done, what it's doing, so you can go back and see, as summer's coming in, you can look back over winter and decide whether or not you need additional solar or a bigger charge system, some of the add-on pieces, whether or not you need to do any of that. And of course, there we go. They've gone over the chassis mount on the battery again, and of course with that system and the battery being an enclosed battery all in one, that means as far as safety goes, it's unparalleled. You've got your standard setup with your over voltage, under voltage, over current and short circuit protections, but the part that really stands out on that is the high and low temperature protection. So the temperature sensors on these don't sit on top on the terminals like most of them do. They are inside the battery with the cells. They're measuring what needs to be measured. So that also helps to control what the charger is actually sending through to the system. It's what it's actually puts through to the battery to make sure you're getting the most efficient charge that you can. So as I mentioned before too, basically your 48 volt system does reduce your power loss. The higher the voltage, the lower the voltage drop, and being so much smaller, lighter, it allows you to give that little bit more space there. And there's not really much more there that I think that I haven't touched on already. So we'll go and flip past that. Anyone have any questions about any of the systems or? Yes.
How does the system work with reading back to your car battery with the smart alternators?
Yep. Yeah. So as far as how it works with the smart alternators and going back to the car battery, so essentially what's happening there, your car will be running at hopefully somewhere around 13.2 volts or so. So it will pull that power through. So it will pull, so for example, if it's pulling 50 amps from the car, right, it might pull 35 or 40 amps from the car, and then what it does is it boosts the voltage and it drops the amperage down to cover that. right? So basically the wattage stays pretty much the same, but your voltage and amperage switch around. So that gives you the ability to actually get a higher voltage to the battery because it's the voltage that you need on a battery. Once your potential, it's sort of like if you've got two balloons, right? One's full of water, one's empty, right? Hook them up together. The full one will push across to the empty one, right, until they equalise. That's essentially what your batteries are trying to do all the time. So as long as you've got a higher pressure or a higher potential, higher voltage on one side, you'll get current flow across, right? So when it charges back through that same system that it uses to boost up to 48 volts. It charges back down to 12 volts to go back to the car.
The alternator's looking at the battery all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If there's enough to that battery, how does it determine how much
Yep. So you don't need to worry about it as far as when your car's running, because when your car's running, the alternator's going to be powering up. So the system's not going to need to send any power back, right? So that's only going to come into account if you're sitting on sitting by a riverside for 3 or 4 days. You've got a fridge hooked up to your main battery system in the car without a second battery or isolator on the fridge line. Then it's going to see that power loss and start bringing it back. And it's only going to do it if the car battery drops below around 12.4 volts. And then you're not going to get anything back again until you're up. The actual caravan battery itself has to have sufficient charge coming into it to be able to manage both the caravan's usage and have something free to give back to the car. All right. So, any other questions? No? Sorry?
So it's a 30 amp DC-DC charger,
Correct. 30 amp at 48 volt.
correct? So it's 120 amps at 12 volts?
Correct.
So what size
Yep.
cabling do you need one from the alternator?
You would have to speak with an auto electrician for that because it's going to depend on where they've placed the system in the van, as well as what car you have and where the cable can be run in the car. All right. Generally speaking, you'd be looking at, rough rule of thumb, probably around about a 50 mil square. Right, so around BNS 1, maybe BNS 0. So it is fairly hefty. And you'll probably be looking at 175 amp Anderson plug just to make sure that you're covered completely there as far as the connection goes. So yes, you do have to boost up the car's output. Unfortunately, it's the whole reason that we're sort of pushing into the 48 volt category, because the cable sizes, they're just too big, too heavy, too expensive to run through the whole vans. So probably not. So most of the time you shouldn't need an alternator upgrade, because most of the alternators are somewhere between 70 and 180 amp anyway, right? It's only their voltage that's really low. So they produce enough power, but they produce that power at a lower voltage, so that way they're saving on emissions and fuel usage.
Yeah, to get the full 30 amps out of the charger, you need 120 amp.
You'd need to have, yeah, so you need to have 120 amp. Yeah, but the car's going to, basically, as long as the car has enough to actually cover that, right, you'll be fine there. If you don't have enough to cover it, the car battery is just going to charge, the system's going to charge the car battery up to its full voltage, and then whatever's left over or whatever's left after what's been used in the car for headlights and whatnot, then that's what's going to come through to the van. So, yes, you'll get a better setup if you do have the larger alternator, but you may not need it. So, there's a lot of there's a couple of the car manufacturers that can go in with their OBD2 tools and alter the output of the alternators as well. All right. Sorry. Fire away.
From the charging point of view,
Yep.
charging, can you set the levels on the input from the main? So in other words, if you're running a small generator.
Yeah, so that's available on. So the as far as charging on a generator, or probably more important for a lot of people, is not so much the generator. It's when they're using an amphibian or a 15 to 10 amp step down line. All of our systems have all of the high charge rate systems have an option there which is called generator mode. You click on generator mode and then select the maximum wattage that the system is going to charge at. Right? So essentially all that does is it just goes at 2,000 watts, right, of power usage. I'm going to stop. And then if power is used in the van in excess of that, right, so you turn on lights, well, not so much lights, but aircon, hot water service, whatever, then it kicks in, they kick in grid power boost mode, which pulls power from the inverter, supplies the extra power that it needs, and then kicks back again to charge the battery up after that. So, and all of them do that at that full charge rate as well. So that way normally you would be sitting there and going, oh, okay, hang on a second. Oh, just turn the kettle on, I've tripped everything out again. Hang on a second, you run out and go and do all that, and then you go, oh, can I do the kettle or the toaster? You don't have to worry about it. So most of them will do like the 180 amp one. I know the limits on that one very well because it's the one I've been playing with the most recently. That one goes up to 4,800 watts. So you can basically run your kettle, toaster, microwave at the same time in the morning, not have to worry about anything. So, and that does that automatically.
Solar panel wise,
Yep.
48 volts.
Mm-hmm.
How they being set up and wired from a shading perspective? At least with 12 volts and half your panels, still okay. We want 48 volts.
No, so it's actually why we've ourselves at when we were Caravan Electrical Solutions and doing all the installs, as well as now going forward with Projecta, we tend to recommend wiring only in parallel, not in series. Okay, that helps with, like, if you're putting solar panels up on the roof over there, right, you know what's there, right? You can wire them in series, keep the voltage super high. You're not going to have an issue. Right? Once you start going into caravans, there's a heap of variables that start coming in, right? 3 decent sized gum leaves are enough to stop a panel from outputting power. Now, if you've got that in series, that's going to cause a lot of problems for you if you don't have all your additional diodes set up and everything. It's a pain. You can have hail damage. You can have a tree branch fall down on it. I've seen people misjudge corners and take out street signs, branches. Yeah, there's all kinds of things that can happen there. And if they're wired in series, once you lose that one panel in the connection, everything's gone. So that's why we generally have everything set so you can wire it just straight up in parallel. That way, if one panel goes, it's not a great problem. So it also helps a little bit too because under ASNZ 3001.2, then you start having some, in there you need to have a fuse, solar rated fuse at no more than 50% of the short circuit current of that string, so that either that individual panel or that set of panels. But it means that if one panel has a problem, that fuse goes. You don't lose everything. So, and then you've still got a breaker that manages the array as a whole, covering all of the strings. So it does make it a lot easier there as far as for the user or for the, for the backups, essentially, if things do go wrong. So they do take quite a fair whack. I haven't tested the upper limits of the 48 volt yet, but the standard setup, the 535 and the 635Js are 50 volt on the panels, 50 volt input on the panels, and then the additional add-on solar regulators you can get, you can go up to 100 volt on those. All right. Is there anything else? It was just the two. Oh, I thought you were going to test me. All right. Any other questions, guys? I'll stick around for a couple of minutes if anyone else has any questions or queries about the systems that we've shown here or the other systems they've got set up in their van, by all means, come up and grab me. And if not, have yourselves a great afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the show.